I'm Gil Games. Hello, and welcome to another installment of my Let's Read series, where I dump gameplay clips and read the coffee diary. The most exciting stuff is at the back. Y'all know what it is. We fight ogres, test experimental weapons, and read diaries. Let's roll. Hey Exanimates. At this point, we're mainly putting the final layers of polish on the new content. This is mostly material work to make everything look good and cohesive. Making detailed and realistic materials for modern graphics is very difficult, and making sure all the colors are balanced and that all the materials, the dirt and grime, etc., belong together and in their environment is like a giant game of whack-a-mole. Even Matic, who is our main programmer, has been mostly helping with getting art finalized. When Matic gets involved in the art pipeline, there's lots of finding tool-based solutions to improve results and avoid lots of brute force work. Why fix a problem once when you can fix it forever? While making the game in our own engine, in total we probably spend more time developing our content and asset creation tools. We have our own unique way of doing everything from physics, animation and AI to rendering, with many unique features. Our tools are the backbone that allow us to take advantage of these features and to develop them in the first place. When there's a major advancement in what we're able to do in the game, it usually has to do more with the tools than anything else. Our tools are extensive and designed around creating instructions for how something is made, so that the process can then be rapidly repeated and iterated on. Adjusting or improving any step of the process is relatively quick and easy, as well as creating more assets using the same or a similar process. We're proud of our tools, and they're how our tiny little team has been able to consistently produce cohesive, high-quality original art and content. Exanima has grown to be quite a large game, but mainly it has an enormous amount of carefully crafted stuff in it. Our most recent addition to the team, a second programmer, Jiminy, has been almost entirely dedicated to expanding our tools and content creation pipeline. These range from improving on what we can do with engine features to brand new tools which will play a major role in how we make content going forward. Some will be used for the content in the Exanima 1.0 release, but we are gearing up for what comes after. Yeah, that's right, this specific clip gets an edit. I was so excited to actually land the chair throw. I'd been fishing for it for ages. We typically avoid showing any new content before release, but we'll make a small exception with screenshots of one asset to illustrate our art pipeline. Beyond some low poly modeling work, this was created entirely within our tools and uses our newest features also in terms of rendering. Everything down to the brickwork and roof tiles is created entirely from scratch, giving us complete artistic control. This asset is part of a highly modular kit bash, meaning we carefully make many individual elements like the segment of an arch, which combined in many ways, and with some tricks can produce a large number of different assets that still look well integrated and varied while using fewer resources. In our last diary, we mentioned we were overhauling our 3D grass. The main goal was for the grass system to support not just grass, but also small plants and dense undergrowth, as this would be more scalable and efficient in terms of performance and especially in terms of level design. We've made a large number of all new grasses, plants, and flowers, more detailed and much higher quality than our previous assets. To make convincing 3D plants, we also had to use more advanced rendering methods, and there were a number of difficult problems to solve with this. We're using dense grass in environments with lots of lights and high contrast lighting, making grass not look flat or polygonal while preserving lighting detail is difficult. Performance is a concern when so much of the screen is covered in layers of grass being lit by many lights. Indeed, our previous grass was heavily reliant on shadows for any depth, which are not always possible. Another common difficult 3D graphics problem is blending. The grass in our game is small and therefore thin, and we really wanted to avoid the pixelated or fuzzy look this often produces, so we needed some clever solutions. It took a lot of fixing, tweaking, and adjusting to finally get everything working and looking how we wanted, and once again adding some features to our asset creation tools was critical to getting it right. We solved all the problems we mentioned, and developed some fancy custom shading that is also highly optimized. It looks great even on lower settings and blends perfectly with the ground and all its variation. Here is an example of dense undergrowth to fill in more vegetation-heavy areas. We can now quickly paint this in with a brush, and it will dynamically adapt to the changes in terrain as it's edited or modified. Here is a large amount of grass showing the variation and how it adapts and blends with the ground. While the ground is not intended for such close-up viewing, this zoomed-in shot shows the lighting detail including specularity and translucency. It looks convincingly 3D, even under high-contrast lighting. As well as a new NPC thaumaturge, in this update we're adding 4 new non-human encounters. It might not be this guy, but I hope it is. Shout out to Zethros. The most we've added at once until now was 2, and adding new creature types requires a lot of rigging, animation work, careful tweaking of physics, combat AI, sound design, the whole rigmarole. So far we've been developing the features to support each new creature and its unique physical and other behaviors as needed, and the result is a lot of custom, hard-coded rules and systems. With 4 new character types added now and more on the way, this is becoming cumbersome. But importantly, this hard-coded system has been a big problem for modders, who like to add as many modified versions of them as possible. Modders have been very limited in this regard, and when we add new creatures, it takes away valuable slots they rely on and undoes their work. They asked, and we promised modders a better system some time ago, so we decided it was finally time to add it. We developed a proper race system, which allows adding virtually unlimited character types featuring a massive number of properties and parameters for their appearance, physical properties, animation behavior, AI, sound and voice effects, stats, locational resistances, equipment use, blood effects, and generally how they interact with every game system. Locational resistances? Like, if a guy had a body part he could use as a shield? On the back of this, we've made various improvements to some of the underlying mechanics and tools. We're now able to make adjustments to physics and animation in real time to immediately see the effects in-game, which really improves our workflow. The biggest change we made, though, is to how character motions are managed. The new system can create custom motion sets on the fly based on race parameters, equipment, skills and combat styles, effects like special properties on items, powers, etc. Motion sets are mixed and matched dynamically, allowing all these conditions to provide highly specific overrides, while also finding appropriate fallbacks if a motion for a specific combination is not provided, which is also great for modders. We've been wanting this sort of functionality for a long time, but understanding all the requirements and mechanics for a data-driven system was a difficult problem. This is also the perfect foundation for changing motions for different weapon grips, and even layering motions to support things like performing actions while running or dynamically changing stances. Holy shit! Think of the grappling! Okay, regaining composure. In general, we've been trying to work more closely with modders recently, and we've been putting a lot of work into developing polished, user-friendly visual interfaces for all our tools, as well as versatile systems to eventually pass on to them. We hope to begin releasing some of these soon, and we're quite excited to see what the modding community comes up with. Already with these new systems, we expect there's a whole lot they'll be able to do. We're a little restricted with the relatively serious and realistic tone of the game, but modders can be more daring and tend to push the limits of what our game can do. Shout out to Django, the public Darren admirer. He cooked up all the custom weapons I used today and is playing Master Chief in this clip. We do mention our tools from time to time, but only briefly and usually without specifics. We realize it's not what many gamers get excited about, you just want more content now. The amount of effort we put into our backend or seemingly small additions to the game might seem insane, but while Exanima might now be close to its 1.0 release, we're only just getting started, and there is so much more we plan to do with these systems and tools. We are in it for the long haul, and to create something special. We know the long development cycles can be frustrating, but we're still here, as dedicated as ever, and we will continue to deliver more and better game. The 1.0 release is ultimately an arbitrary milestone. Best, Bare Mettle. And now, for what you've all been waiting for, my opinions. He's kinda right. I'm not as gassed about the tool talk, but I totally get it. It's like he challenges me to a race around the country, so I start running and he sits down to build a car. I think I'm winning because he hasn't started running, until he drives by with my mom in the passenger seat. I still think what I said in the last video, that accessible tools that my smooth brain can use are going to be amazing. The modders currently do amazing things, but they're all very smart and professional engineers and stuff. All that stuff about creating motion sets on the fly and layering motions sounds incredible and is easily what I found most exciting. I'm imagining running attacks and WWE clotheslines and shit. Changing motions for weapon grips is up there too. I've wanted to be able to do the ice pick grip with knives or do some actual half-swording in Exanima because Lord knows we'll never Exanima in half-sword. Locational resistances comes with its own share of hype, even outside of the guy with the literal meat shield. I can't help but dream of a hardening power from the body domain. Call me Roberto Duran while you catch these hands of stone. They didn't talk about it here, but there's also a planned bash command with its own input. There's even been mention of jumping, and not that dumb greatsword flying kick thing I used to do, but actual jumping. Exanimario on the track. Between jumps, bashes, stance changes, and grip flips with alternate motions, it starts sounding like a different game, and that's where I find my concern. Part of what makes Exanima great, at least for me, is what I'd call elegance, a simplicity that conceals its depth without being flashy, cumbersome, or needing 200 buttons. It's that simplicity that helps me find the immersion in combat. When you move around in the real world, you feel instant physical feedback about what you're doing, but your proprioception doesn't apply to your game character. The way I see it, the more buttons, statuses, toggles, and modes, the less intuitive the control is. Each of these things is an extra layer of abstraction between me and my character. If you will, imagine a situation where you're chased into a corner and turned to fight, only to realize halfway into your windup that you've got the wrong foot forward and you're holding your weapon backwards, so you go to hit stance change and fat finger the jump key. Obviously, I've got faith in the Bare Mettle team to deliver it all in a tight package. It's not like I don't know I'm a worrywart. A negative Nancy, wrought with alliterative anxiety. Anyway, let me know what y'all think of this in the comments, or don't, I'm not a cop. Thanks for listening.